want to make it against the law and send people to jail for saying it?
Gentleman's time has expired.
This is why the city of New York is going down the toilet. I yield.
It's doing great. Thank
The
you. You should come back and
gentleman's time has
visit.
expired. Thank you.
Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a fiery congressional hearing where Congressman Byron Donalds directly confronted New York City Comptroller Lander. The exchange quickly escalated, with Donalds blaming Democratic policies for what he described as New York City going down the toilet.
Thank you, Chairman. It's good to be here. It was said earlier in this committee, actually a couple of things, that a lot of members were activists in their way to be coming to Capitol Hill. I was an activist locally in my community before I came to Capitol Hill. The thing we always advocated for was free markets, the United States Constitution, and we didn't want to have outside groups wielding this nefarious power to try to shift the very fabric of our capitalist system underneath our noses. And it looks like what these proxy advisory firms have been doing is that very thing. They've been using our system of free information as a way to shift the very nature of free market, competitive economics, and actually substitute that with nefarious countercultural, socialistic policies that are not in the best interest of the United States. ESG policy is very indicative of that fact. And so this is a hearing that, in my view, is long overdue. Mr. Copeland, can you elaborate on how activists have hijacked the proxy proposal process to push left-wing ideology through corporations?
Yes. A very small percentage of shareholders are introducing virtually all of these shareholder proposals. They're corporate gadflies. There's a guy, John Chevedden, who this year gave himself proposed 1/3 of all shareholder proposals. Then you've got social investing funds with an express purpose that's different from just maximizing share value that introduce a lot of these proposals. And the other block are really labor-affiliated funds. They could be private labor unions like the Contractors Union. They could be public pension funds for public employees, such as the New York City funds that Comptroller Lander works on. And that's really who supports all these proposals. None of the other institutional investors that are simply focused on the markets do that. Now, some of them vote for them, in part because the proxy advisors are directing them to, telling them to, and they defer to those proxy advisors, or in part because they're passive index funds and they've been captured. They've gotten a little better in the last year, but they've historically gone for this. But they don't really have skin in the game in any of these companies because they're just mirroring the stock market.
No, I agree with you, and I found like some of those funds, social impact funds, the performance is actually worse than funds that are actually looking for value, which is a detriment to the shareholders across the board. Mrs. Keel, do proxy advisory firms have fiduciary duties to the companies or shareholders that they are advising?
They do not have any fiduciary duties to the companies that they are advising, and they're imposing these standards on, and kind of an implicit threat to follow their regulations. Some of them, ISS does have a fiduciary duty to its clients because it's regulated under the Investment Advisor Act, but Glass Lewis is not. So I think that's an important distinction because they do the exact same thing, and so it's a query in my mind as to why one of them is regulated, and I should also mention that it's a very, very light touch regulation, but it doesn't really make any sense that one would be regulated and one is not.
Okay. This hearing got really interesting a little bit ago with my colleague from New Jersey. So, Mr. Lander, I have to come to you. You're the comptroller of the city of New York. You talked about the proposal by Mr. Mamdani for government-run grocery stores. Do you think that's a viable proposal for the people of the city of New York?
All around the country, there are quite a few places where there are publicly owned grocery stores designed to offer healthy, nutritious, affordable food in food deserts where people have no other options. That is working in red and blue states around the country.
Mr. Lander, you do realize that these grocery stores have less product available. The food is not nearly as good. Some of them shut down. The standards in them are, quite frankly, disgusting. Do you think it's in the interest of the people of New York to open this up? And by the way, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I've grown up in the city.
I'm
I
so
know
glad
what
to hear
food
it, but
is.
if you grew up in low-income neighborhoods in Brooklyn,
Sir,
you
I
would
grew
see
up
that
in
you
Crown Heights,
had,
Brooklyn, a low-income neighborhood.
then you would have seen
The
that
city
many of the
city of New
privately
York-
owned
the city of
stores
New York-
nearby
the
had
city
low
of New York
quality
got
and high
out
prices.
of the business of distributing food when I was a kid. The city of New York used to distribute food. They got out of that business. They did when I was a kid. You
We
think it's
still
okay to
provide a
go back?
whole lot of free meals in our summer camp programs, in our after-school programs, and in our schools that enormous number of low-income and working-class families rely on. That
Reclaiming
is
my time,
government-distributed
reclaiming my time
food.
'cause I
Should
got
we
10
cut it
seconds
off?
yet. Last question for you. Can you condemn the phrase global intifada?
I made real clear, if you mean I don't think people should say
So you
it,
won't
I
condemn
condemn
it.
it. If you want to
So
make
you
it
won't
against the
condemn the
law
phrase.
and send people
You
to
won't
jail
condemn
for
the
saying
phrase.
it,
Gentleman's time
I
has
don't.
expired.
This is why the city of New York is going down the toilet. I yield.
it's doing great. Thank you. You should come back and
Gentleman's time has
visit.
expired. Thank you. Now,
This clash was about far more than words. It was about competing visions for the future of American cities, corporate governance, and government's role in everyday life. The hearing began with lawmakers raising concerns about proxy advisory firms and the rise of ESG-driven policies. Critics argued these firms push left-wing social agendas at the expense of shareholder value. Byron Donalds entered the conversation with sharp criticisms, warning that corporations were being hijacked by activists and that these policies threatened free market capitalism. Things heated up when the discussion turned to a controversial idea: government-run grocery stores in New York City. Brad Lander defended the proposal, arguing that in food deserts, publicly owned markets could provide affordable and nutritious food. Donalds wasn't buying it. He blasted the idea, pointing out that similar stores have historically offered lower quality goods, fewer options, and often failed altogether. That's when Donalds delivered his now viral line, saying Democratic policies are sending New York City down the toilet. Lander pushed back hard, insisting that low-income families in neighborhoods like Crown Heights have long suffered from poor-quality private grocery options. He reminded the committee that New York City has a long history of providing meals through schools and public programs, which millions rely on today. His argument framed government-run groceries as an extension of that mission. This wasn't just a debate about grocery stores. At its core, the exchange highlighted the sharp divide between free market advocates and progressives who see government as a tool to fill market failures. Donalds accused Democrats of destroying New York through overreach, while Lander painted a picture of government stepping in to ensure fairness and access for struggling communities. The back and forth reflected the broader national debate on capitalism, socialism, and the future of America's cities. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss updates on the debates shaping our country. In the end, Byron Donalds and Brad Lander left the hearing exactly where they started, worlds apart. For Donalds, Democratic policies are eroding the foundations of New York City. For Lander, government initiatives are essential to building a fairer future. One thing is clear: these battles aren't just about one city. They represent a national struggle over what role government should play in our lives.